to this week's Saturday afternoon Boardwalk Social Club concert series. Ongoing Saturday afternoon concert series. Started all the way back in March. This week we have tried to do a different theme every week. So this theme is New York City blues. Blues from New York City. Other weeks I've done Chicago blues, and then each specific Chicago blues guy, and then Delta blues and North Mississippi Hill Country blues, and then Piedmont blues of the acoustic blues of that style. So I'm going to do other regions, like Texas has a notable blues sound, but so does New York City. New York City's got its own thing, both acoustic and electric blues. New York City has always had a blues club, a place to play, and a string of interesting blues guys that have made New York City their home or started out that way. Anyway, here this is going to New York. Jimmy Reed, about getting on a quiz show, game show, like Jeopardy. New York, yeah, on the quiz show. Gonna win me some. All of that dough, I'm going to New York. I'm going to New York. I'm going to New York. I'm going if I have to walk. Been out east, yeah, I've been out west. I've been down south, but I ain't gonna rest till I get to New York. I'm going to New York. I'm going to New York. I'm going if I have to walk. I've been here, I've been there, I've been somewhere everywhere. I'm going to New York. I'm going to New York. I'm going to New York. I'm going if I have to walk. I'm going to New York. Going if I have to walk. Thanks everybody. Going to New York. Jimmy Reed. That was a big hit for the Climax Blues Band. I went and saw them in concert at Brookdale College. That was a big hit for them on WNEW radio. Sonny Ken plays that one, Going to New York. A lot of bands play that one in New York City. So, yeah, John Hammond, I consider John Hammond Jr. a New York City blues guy, acoustic, and he also plays electric. He's had some, he even had Jimi Hendrix as his band, as his guitar player in New York City when he was called Jimmy James. Or maybe he was just starting to be Jimi Hendrix then, but anyway, this is a song, Who's Been Talking, that I learned from a John Hammond Jr. record where he played with the Nighthawks from Baltimore. And we used to play this one with Kevin and Neil, you know, our first band down in Wildwood. It's a big hit for us, Who's Been Talking, which we learned from that record. We were a big Nighthawks fan. And John Hammond. John Hammond had a couple of really good, one great album, two great albums, really good records. Anyway. My baby called a train, took her far from home. My baby called a train, took her far from home. She knows I love her, she do me wrong. My baby called a train, my ride on. My baby bought a ticket, long as my ride on. Which I love, she's doing me wrong. Now bye-bye, babe, I hate to see you go. Goodbye, baby, I hate to see you go. You know I love you, I'm the causing of it all. I'm the causing of it all. Causing of it all, causing of it all, causing of it all. Thanks everybody who's been talking. Big hit for John Hammond Jr. And then for Big Danny. I played in New York City with Big Danny a couple places over the years. Well, a couple outdoor like street fairs that were fun, memorable. And a couple times at the Ear Inn, he was my partner for, duos, acoustic duo thing. Those were all memorable nights for me. I could remember them at least. Yeah, one time, Big Danny, people were so eager to, buy him drinks and everything that he finished 2 quarts of whatever he drank, whatever that stuff was, Jameson's. Actually, I was the designated driver, but I called the next day to see, if everything was still okay, and he said, sure, no, he's an amazing musician, bring him around anytime. Okay, you asked for it. Yeah, that's the Ear Inn. That was a place, pretty memorable place to play in New York City. Great spot, a bar that's been there a very long time. One of the oldest bars in New York. It was actually right on the waterfront before it was filled in, with the dredge spoils and made a little wider. But the Ear Inn is an interesting place to play. Like, it was, I guess, started in the beatnik days. It just said bar and a neon light, and so when somebody bought it, they changed it to ear by taping up the B and changed it to the Ear Inn. Anyway, it was one of those places you didn't start playing till midnight, and then we're done at 3 or 4 in the morning, and we had some good experiences playing there with Billy Hector. That's how I first started, or maybe I was probably with Neil, or it's New York City guys, Neil, the Dirty Water Dogs. Anyway, one night we had a real New York City experience there. There'd be quite a few celebrities or musicians. Sometimes they'd have to point them out and tell me who it was afterwards, but this one night it was obvious that it was the 2 famous Broadway actors, Nathan Lane and Matthew Broderick, all dressed up in New York City clothes, a hat and long jackets, and sat right across the bar from us, and it was one of those nights where people were talking a lot. Anyway, they stood up at the end of one of our songs, and like that, like bravo, just daring people to stand, to not clap after that. We were very grateful, It was a real New York City moment for anybody. Anyway, that's the Ear Inn. What was I talking about? Okay, there's a song by Sonny Terry and Brownie McGee, who were New York City guys. They didn't start out there, but they wound up as New York City blues guys, part of the acoustic blues scene that John Hammond Jr. was also part of, and Bob Dylan was even part of for a while. One other guy, I can't remember his name, played down at Stockton College. Anyway, another blues guy, acoustic blues guy. Yeah, this one's Crow Jane, big hit for Sonny Terry and Brownie McGee, and also for Billy Hector, playing with Billy Hector. Big hit for us. Crow Jane, what may you hold your head so high? Because baby, you're gonna lay down and die. You get that little word I throw it into your backyard. We'll come to see what your older man had been born. everybody. Pro Jane, Sonny Terry, Brian McGee, big hit for Billy Hector. Billy Hector is also considered a New York City blues guy, modern day blues guy. Him and Papa Chubby, also a New York City blues guy, fighting it out for the same turf. Billy plays at the bitter end in New York City, and my New York City friends are impressed that he gets paid. They say he's the only person that gets paid to play there, you know. So, and Billy draws a lot of people when he plays at the bitter end in New York City. Then there's a blues place right next door to there that's been there a long time. Then there's been others over the years. The one that I remember the most was Dan Lynch's, the place on the Lower East Side. Dan Lynch's Blues Bar, which was a real blues bar. They had a Sunday afternoon like jam session thing, but they also had their own like guys. Bill Dicey. He was the guy that ran the jam thing, but he was the main blues guy from those days. Bill and Victoria Spivey. I was lucky to see them and, you know, sit in for those, play for those Sunday afternoon things. That was a big deal for me when I was starting out on harmonica. Anyway, there's always been a blues scene in New York City. Some of my friends came through that, like the Surreal McCoys, and then Barbecue Bob, and Neil and Skip, the Dirty Water Dogs. They all are part of that New York City blues scene, acoustic and electric. There was also the B.B. King's, which was a fun place to play. We did that for a while, a couple of years. We were like the house band there for, I can't remember what night of the week it was. It was a weeknight. It was really long. It was like 6 hours. We had to play for 6 hours. I was with Sonny and Dave and Vic. They all had to, half of them had to be school teachers the next morning, so it couldn't last forever. But for a while, it was pretty fun playing there. It was just a super long night. And it was it was like to a lot of tourists. It was a real touristy place like people taking pictures. Anyway, we had some good experiences playing at B.B. King's over those years. Should I play?
Did you find $100 there once? B.B. King's.
No, that's funny. You should. No, I found $100. So weird. You should bring that up. No, we were playing at some place in New York City, like a trendy nightclub place where there were models and actors and the current president of the United States was there. And that's funny. Why would you ask me that? Anyway, I found $100 on the floor. Maybe he dropped it. I don't know. It was just when I needed it. $100. It wasn't worth it. That's good. No, that's impossible. Anyway, that's a funny story. Yeah, I found $100 bill on the floor when I was playing at some trendy nightclub where a real estate mogul was. Which I play? Who else? What other blues guys from New York City? There was Tramps, Kevin and Neil, the Surreal McCoys, they played there, and then the Rodeo Bar. Johnny Winters, bass player and harmonica player. He was, I think he took over for us after we were finished with B.B. King's. John Paris, yeah. Who else? Blues guy from New York City. Oh, the XR Bar with John Campbell. Yeah, Johnny Copeland, he was a New York City blues guy. He lived in Harlem for a while. New York City's got a lot of blues. Places to play. Good players, and then a lot of them, then there's the connection between those guys and the one that go up to play in Woodstock, you know, like Brian Mitchell and those guys. Levon Helm's band, they're like guys that go between New York City and Woodstock, Junior Mac. Anyway, what else about New York? The one, we keeping track with this thing, the New York City Transportation Alternatives, the bicycle and pedestrian advocacy group. Their spokesman, Danny Harris, he's often quoted in New York Times articles, usually after that, you know, somebody gets hit by a car. But anyway, they're gonna, I imagine they'll take advantage of the change in the streets in New York City being taken back from cars, both speeding and parked, for the first time, and given over to pedestrians and people walking, you know, people riding bicycles and people selling things, you know, restaurants being allowed to encroach. You know, public streets used to be that, public streets. It used to be people walked and played. You know, New York City was famous for playing stickball or on stoop ball, you know. Maybe it could be like that again. That'd be great. Maybe I know Asbury Park is taking advantage of this to close Cookman Avenue, and I don't think they'll go back. You know, it's been a big success. Anyway, we're big supporters of New York City transportation alternatives. Here's one of New York City. It's always in a hurry. Got a boogie real fast, you better not boogie slow. You got a boogie real fast, you better not boogie slow. Everybody's in a hurry, ain't got nowhere to go. Everybody's in a hurry, ain't got nowhere to go. Everybody's in a hurry, ain't got nowhere to go. Got a boogie real fast, you better not boogie slow. Boogie real fast, you better not boogie slow. Boogie real fast, you better not boogie slow. Everybody's in a hurry, ain't got nowhere to go. in a hurry, ain't got nowhere to go. Everybody's in a hurry, ain't got nowhere to go. You gotta boogie real fast, you better not boogie slow. Happy birthday to Grammy Pammy, coming up in a couple of days. It's exciting. Birthday. Maybe take it easy, relax, retire. Okay, so that's my New York City blues show for the day. I should mention Kevin Trainer, the main guy behind the Surreal McCoys, Kevin and Neil. He's my real connection to playing in New York City. Kevin was the brains of the operation with the Surreal McCoys, and he was really the first to bring us around to all those places, and then the first to talk some of the places even to having music, you know. Like Tramps, they were the weekly band there, and the Rodeo Bar, and those were places that had good blues shows, and sometimes they were the opening act. Anyway, they would hang out and play for hours after their gigs at both places, the Rodeo Bar and Tramps, Sunday night things. And a lot of New York City musicians would hang out and trade songs with them. Bands that went on, you know, the whatchamacallit, Spin Doctors, Joan Osborne, and Blues Traveler, they all were guys that hung out afterwards. George Breakfast.
I just watched this one already.
Also, our friend Homeboy Steve, which is a sad thing. He was a New York City musician up from those days all the way up to last year. He played his gig on last gig March 13th, Friday the 13th in New York City, not knowing that it was dangerous to do so. And very sadly died 10 days later. Anyway, this one's from Homeboy Steve. Really the most New York guy of the bunch. His father was a famous neon light artist. Only somebody from New York City could say that. Yeah, Homeboy Steve. Great, unique guitar player, songwriter, good guy. Real New York City guy. Played at every one of those places I just mentioned. Anyway, this one's for Homeboy Steve. blues episode.